Hello and good morning. Norm here. Finally the time. Let's get this cut up and put in a scrap bin. It's been a long 3 years. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I can't cut this up today, but we do need the torch. So today we're back working on Little Lauren. We're messing around with her motion work again. And the plan for today is to get some of these parts straightened back out so that they're all going to be running in line with the changes we've made. So I'll take you up there and I'll show you what we got to do, and then we'll just get on with it. So before we do that, little update of what we've been up to. I come out the other night and cleaned up the valve chest cover. I think that's looking pretty good now. We've done a little bit of a poll on Instagram as to whether to leave the pits in or to machine this face so that it's bright. We had not so much mixed opinions, mainly votes for one more than the other, but I'd like to know what YouTube thinks. What do you reckon we should do with this? Should we leave it all pitted, or should we machine that whole face off so that it's all shiny and you get rid of all this pitting in this cover? It's going to be left bare metal like that. I did think about plating it in the past, but I think we're going to leave it bare still as it was when it was made. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'll be interested to hear people's thoughts. I know what I'm leaning towards, but I'm up for opinions. Oh, and also I bought channel update. I got one of these things, a little dead cat on a electronic device thing. So let me know what you think of the new audio sound. You should be able to pick up my farmer accent and my heavy breathing better with this. So this is going to be the first video using it, so we'll see what it turns out like when I do the editing. But let me know what you think about that. Right, so what have we got to do today? As you can see, parts have been finding their way back onto the engine. We've got these pins ground and all fit in as they should be. So this is what operates the expansion valve in the valve chest. You've got your main valve rod behind, which operates your usual slide valve, and then we've got this expansion one that sits on top for cut off for the engine. So we've got all this now. These all have been ground, polished. These have all been ground and hardened. So we've got all our hardened ground pins in. And now we can see about getting all this all in line from the valve chest up back to the eccentrics on the crank. So that is what we're doing. Obviously, the reason all this isn't in line is because previously this cylinder block was on the engine crooked. So what we've done is we've straightened up the cylinder block. Well, that means now that all the parts it was bent to match where the cylinder block was need to be bent back to be in line. So that is pretty much what we're going through doing, and that had become very apparent on some of the eccentric straps. So I'll show you that next. But basically our task is to manipulate all these rods and that have been bent, get them all straightened back out so that this all runs in line. There's nothing binding. We've got minimal clearances in our pins, so we want this to be quite true so that we don't get any heat in any of the motion or any premature wear, and we just want to get it as best as we can, really. So we really want to start with the eccentrics and then work our way back from the crank to the valve chest, and we start thinking about putting the valve gearing or the valve blocks all back in. I can't see why Boy, that wouldn't be a problem. But let's get up to the eccentrics and I'll show you the eccentrics and show you what we got to do first. Right, so we are now where the eccentrics meet the way shaft bracket, where we've got these two rods that transfer the motion. And if you have a look, don't know if you're going to be able to see, but on the left hand side, this eccentric, these are ones we've straightened out already before we put them back on, and as you can see, they line up spot on. I think you can see that anyway. So this is your main valve, and these are the rods that I haven't straightened, and as you can see there, I know they're a bit sloppy, but you want to find the middle of the slop, and you can see they're just not lining up with that. And the bottom one, I don't know what's happened to that one, but as you can see there, that's heavily bent. So I don't know whether that's happened when it's been off the engine, it's been knocking about the yard or whatever, but that is seriously bent, seriously out of line. So we need to take them off and get them all straightened back out, so that when you're in the middle of the slop, they line up perfectly. That way, when we get all our links and everything put back on, we're going to be laughing. We can just chuck them on, and everything's going to be right and in line. So these are the ones that we need to straighten. These are the two ones for the main valve, and these are the two for the expansion gear. So we're going to need to take these back off, take them next door, get them straightened out, bring them back to the engine, test fit them, and then probably just give them a little tweak on the engine with the gas to get them all in line. But first we need to get them taken off and get them in the shed, so let's get on with that. It's not the easiest place to work up here. But we should be able to whip these off. So first one. Right, so we're in the vise. I think it's just going to be easier to take the actual eccentric apart. A proper socket. Now you can now you can see how it's actually dovetailed or fishtailed into that part. So this is narrow, this end, and this is wider, so it won't pull out ever. And as you can see, it was a nice tight fit. I've never had that apart. I don't know if anyone else ever has. I'm sure it's been apart at one point in its life, but this will give us a better look. At the state of the rod, or the arm. See if you can see that in the camera. It's very obvious. Not sure how it happened, but we'll put it right. So what we'll do is we'll find out where the bend is, which looks like right there where it is on the casting, and then tweak that back straight. Probably hold it in the vise like that to keep it from moving when it cools down. So I'll get this cleaned up, get this wire wheeled off, and then we'll start heating it. So just hit that in the Scotch Brite and the wire wheel. I cleaned up. It's looking a lot better. Just got to straighten that bow out now. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to warm this area up, and then I'm going to use the nice flat jaws we made in the vise to just straighten that back out. I am wondering if you ought to put some soft jaws in, bits of alley or something in there first. I'll just put a couple of bits of angle in there just to stop the serrations digging in. Then we'll heat her up. Lay her in the vise and then just crank down on her. And this big old vise should put enough pressure on to get that straight and hold it there while it cools down so it doesn't warp. So let's fire up the torch. There's a cast. which was better, but I can still see it quite a very slight bow across this whole length. To me, it looks like she's a bit like that. I'll put it on a surface table and check it. Alright, so hopefully you can see there, she's touching this end, raised up in the middle, and she's touching on the other end. So I'm gonna have another heat in the middle and try and get that bit of bow out. I'll do that off camera and then I'll bring you back. Alright, there we go. It's looking a lot nicer. So I think that one's ready to go back on once we clean up the heat affected zone. And we can try it. I think we're still going to be wanting to tweak this when it's on the engine to get that bore running true. But other than that, I think she's going to be pretty close. Closer than it was anyway. We will be doing final tweaks when he's on the engine. Still pretty heavy, that is. Right, I'll let that cool down. Do the other one, and then we'll clean them up. Right, so after straightening up the connecting rod, someone mentioned it might be a good idea to crack test it, but after thinking about it, I agree that might be a good easy bit of insurance. So we picked up some of this dye pen weld test crack stuff, and I figured we'd give it a try on this eccentric strap here. I can already see a slight crack. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera, but I'm expecting to see a tiny little crack there where this bit of pitting is. Maybe another one there. We might be able to grind those out, but let's see if this stuff works first. Give it a go and see what happens. I'm expecting to see two cracks here, but I can see them with my bare eyes anyway. Of course, I haven't read the instructions, but that says cleaner. So is that now clean? I take it we just spray this stuff. I will read the instructions. Sprayed with the cleaner, penetrant over the area, leave for 15 minutes, wipe, and then spray the detector on. So did it say shake? Didn't say shake. So in theory this will creep down into the cracks, and then when we put a developer on it should draw it back out, which should show you where, if you got any cracks in your part. So we give that 15 minutes and come back. Right, so it's been 5 minutes. Just enough time to make a cup of coffee. That wiped off. Right, so as you can see now, that's clean, no red on there. What's this one here, though? In theory, that should draw the dye out of any cracks that's in the part. Which it doesn't seem to be doing. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a small hairline crack there, and it doesn't seem to be obviously showing up with the penetrant. Strange. Well, I might just do that one more time for peace of mind. But that's looking all right. I'm still going to grind that little crack out that I can actually see with my eyes, just to make sure it's not going any deeper than what it is there. Yeah, it's just a flake of rust. I'm sure you can see, but that's just a bit of pitting. It doesn't go any further down than what's there, so I'll just flake that piece out. Just a bit of rust pitting. It's not going to hurt anything. Right, so I've put the really bent one back on. Let's see how well it lines up. So if you bring it up now to the straight-ish, bring it up to the, and there you can see we're a million miles better. We have just got to do a tiny tweak. It's looking about 1 or 2 mil. Just in the end, just to get that to be absolutely perfect, which is what we're going to do when we put the links back on. We can just heat that up and just pull it over that last little bit, and then everything will be spot on. So we're going to go get the other one, put that on, and just check that one. Stay there like that without falling. See all these shims, they've all got to be like that in the right orientation to get it on. No, stay. Right, I know you ain't got the best camera angle, but there ain't a lot to stick you on up here, I'm afraid. Right, here we go, that moment of truth for this one. So the same, see that's got a bit of a bias to the right. That one's just got a little bit of a tweak over. But that is a million times better than what it was. The final tweaks, like I say, will be done on the engine with the links put back on. I just want a smidge over this way. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a bias there. And we want the bias in the middle. If that makes sense, it does to me, but I don't know. I'm happy anyway, that's a million times better. And hopefully them eccentrics now can stay on. So next thing on the list I want to do today, or this weekend, is now that this cylinder and everything all lines up lovely, hunky-dory, that slide bar's up nice and tight to this casting again, but we need to do something about this gap we had to machine in here. If you look here, you can see a big old gap. Well, that gap was a result of having to move the slide bars over when the cylinder was crooked. So we don't need that gap anymore. So I'm just going to fill it with Belzona, just put a bit of a liquid metal in there, and then machine that back down and blend it in. I don't want to mess around with the slide bars because I've already milled and made sure that they're all true. I don't want to weld it because I don't want to warp anything. So this gap's really not a major issue. We're just gonna get something in there to take up the slop. But as you can see, everything else now is all looking like it should be. Right, so if we wind the engine so if we wind the engine over, we should be able to see where these blocks come up this end, and we can see if it needs moving out or she's alright where she is. So you want a little bit of clearance. You can see there you want slide bars to be tight up against it with minimal clearance, so that'll show us how much we need to add back on. And as you can see, it's perfectly in line with our casting now. So as I said, that was how it was intended to go. And this one, same this size, tight up against the casting, and you have got your little bit of play there. So I'm just going to build this back up, make it how it was. Just do away with that bit that's been machined. Right, as you can see, the engine's actually turning over really nice. So we are getting somewhere. I am still going to make a new little end bearing, and I'm contemplating on making a new one of these straps. This one looks, well, battered is the word for it. That's going to be our weakest link, so I'm contemplating on getting one of them done. But seeing all that go round again is a good feeling. And seeing it all line up is even better. So let's whip this bar off. Let's get some material back on that slide bar, and then we'll go from there. So there's our two slide bars, top and bottom. Gonna get them cleaned up. All I can say is it's a bad day to be a slide bar, worn out slide bar when Benzoda's in town. This one also had a bit, can you see that? Also had a bit off the bottom, that was to bring it up, but we don't need that anymore because it's all at the correct height, so we can do away with that. We could shim it, but this would be a bit more of a permanent application. I'll get a bit of sandpaper and go over that. Apparently this stuff's going to be as strong as the real thing. Maybe got a drill tap machine it. For this application, I think it's going to be for a spacer, which is what it's going to be. I think it's going to be plenty adequate. So you want to find yourself the rustiest piece of metal you've got in the yard. Dab a load of this in there. Is that enough? Yeah. The rust will add to the authenticity of it. Right, now I don't quite know how I'm going to get this on here without making a big mess. Well, I probably ain't, but the bigger the gob, the better the job. Might have to do this a couple of times to get the right thickness. Sure there's a right way to do it. It probably ain't this, but right, I'm just going to stop playing with it. I'm going to leave that, put another load on tomorrow. And then we'll just keep building that up until there's no more gap edge. Starting to think I should have brazed it now, but never mind. We shall persist. Right, I'm sure that'll clean up nice. I'm just going to leave that now as he plays with it a bit more. Right, that's it for today. Just gonna help myself. So there we go, that's this week's update. That's what we managed to get done this weekend. And we're going to crack on with it again next week and get some more done. So, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers!